Everyone's talking about hostages, and believe me, I am not callous towards hostages. The slogan is bring them home. My slogan is finish, finish, finish. Because if we don't finish, we're going to have to fight this war again, and again, and again. And each time we fight it again, it's going to be more loss of life. The Arabs have a long-term plan. They'll die in their millions. They're going to destroy us unless we stop them. And we're not going to stop them by making ceasefires. We're going to stop them by humiliating them, by shaming them. And you do it once, you won't have to do it again. They'll all come, but the television will say, okay, let's be friends. But so long as we're duking it out, that sure we'll die. We don't mind dying, but we'll kill you. And we're going to get every Jew out of Israel. That's their plan. It's not complicated. Everybody knows it and everybody understands it. But then it doesn't feel good. It's not nice. I remember when Trump was president, I had big arguments with people very close to myself. Very close to me, family members. I would say, Goy, don't get excited. I mean, Trump was elected to get Rabash out of jail, which is a big schos. But don't get excited. Trump's not Mashiach. He's a Goy and he's a Behema Lakula. He happens to have a weakness towards Jews. A Yid has to know his place and he has to know his shlichus. I don't invest myself in Trump. You have to vote. But Trump is the Messiah? The Mashiach is a Yid. Mashiach's the Rebbe.
Is it better to call it October 7th because connecting it to Yom Tif isn't very good either?
You know, we call the Yom Kippur War the Yom Kippur War. And it makes you shake. Of course he did. They never called it by the name of everybody else. He always say, was man ruft on Melchemet Sheshes Hayom. What's called by everybody, Sheshes Hayom. This is, you know, we're in the middle of a story and I don't want to act like a prophet. Not of doom and not of fantasy, but it's not by mistake that it happens. I want to tell you a story. Right after Gimel Tammuz, I was teaching in 770. Mamash, we started the week of Gimel Tammuz, started giving classes in 770 to women. That summer, the classes were packed. So many people came. Everybody wanted to hear something. Over the years, that class was reduced to literally 2 or 3 ladies. But in the beginning, it was packed. Everybody came. And we talked, including some very important people who teach you. But you're talking now 32 years ago, 30 years ago, Tovshin and Dalet. So a woman asked me a question in a class. And I said to this lady, and there must have been 100 ladies there, is that a personal question or is it an academic question? Now she understood that if it was a personal question, I wouldn't answer it. So she said, no, it's an academic question. So I answered her. And she burst into tears. And she started to scream. She was so upset. And she came over after class and said, Rabbi, how could you say that? Of course it's a personal question. In other words, of course if you knew who I'm talking about, you'd fall down. A woman who's all brain. Of course it's a personal question. Now, in 1994, I was 33 years old. I was 28 years old. I was 28. What did I know? I was out of my pamper. I just got married. It was uncomfortable sitting in a room full of ladies. Most of them in the room older than me. So I asked a woman straight up, if this is a personal question, I'm not answering it. If it's an academic question, I will answer it. She told me I answered. She gets angry at me because it's a personal question. I'm supposed to know that. Now, I'm married long enough to know that the downside of being married to a woman is you have to know what they're thinking. If you don't know what a woman is thinking, that means you don't love them. That's the guy's side of the story. I always tell you the women's side of the story. I always put you guys up, but there's a guy's side to the story also. If a man can't guess what his wife is thinking, that means he doesn't love her. And guys are terrible guessers. They're dumb as a wall. Trust me. Tell a man straight what to do, he still doesn't hear, yeah? You give him riddles and hints, he's never going to guess right. That happened. And I had to apologize. I had to call him Mashbi. It became a whole pash. I have a very deep sense that you're asking a personal question. You're not asking an academic question.
Absolutely not. I mean, I think that the world is happens all the time in the world. And
So first of all, it's a knee-jerk reaction. You just say it. It's not thought through. And second of all, when you say Mashiach is not consoling the tragedy that happened. Mashiach is saying that there's going to be a time that there won't be tragedy. The consolation is right now we live in a world, in the words of the Rebbe is speaking Yiddish, as eine da Missverständnis. There are things that happen that we can't understand. When something happens in this world, we believe in God. We really believe in God. It's not a game. We really believe that the Eibush is in charge. We believe in Hashgacha Pratis. If something happened, it wasn't a mistake, it wasn't an accident, it wasn't anti-Semitism, it wasn't terrorism, it was the Eibush. We can't understand. And when we can't understand, we cry, as we should. Mashiach is going to make a world where we're going to be able to understand. But it doesn't address this tragedy. It addresses the sense of uncertainty. It addresses the sense of lack of safety that a person feels when tragic things happen. There's a video of a couple that came to the Rebbe by dollars. They had one son. By the way, if you want to know why you have a lot of kids, this is a reason. Not chas v'shalom that you're going to lose any of your children, but you should have a lot of kids. They had one son. And he was killed in a terrorist crash, a terrorist attack. Libya, Gaddafi, put a bomb on a plane and it blew up over Lockerbie in England, and everybody on the plane died, including their son. Now they came to the Rebbe as a couple. They were not from people, but they were British, so they were more traditional than Americans. And I think they even spoke like a German Yiddish a little bit. They were elderly. You have to remember, it's 30 years ago, and they were probably in their late 60s. So they, so they remember the Holocaust, perhaps they remember even before. They remember a more traditional time. And they're talking to the Rebbe in a mixture of Yiddish and English. And they were introduced to the Rebbe. This is the parents of this and this boy who was killed in this tragic plane. It was 1986 or 87 when the plane was blown up. They came to the Rebbe probably in 1991. And the Rebbe says to them, what's the Rebbe supposed to say? I'm asking you a question. He's standing in line. There's hundreds of people. He has 30 seconds. What's he supposed to say? So the Rebbe says, the Rebbe should help him. That going forward you should have only blessings. Now if you have one child and you lose him, there's no it's over, it's finished. You might as well be dead. I mean, it's a very, very dark place to be. But the Rebbe says that they shall help him that from now on you should have good experiences in your life, which is the only thing you could say. So the husband sort of walks away, and the wife says to the Rebbe, how could such a thing happen? So the Rebbe says to her, after what happened in the last generation, he's speaking in Yiddish, noch was ist getroffen in dem friedlichen Dor, und derweiler hat der Eibischte noch nicht reagiert, kann man a Frage nicht fragen. Which means, after what happened in the previous generation, and so far Hashem has not reacted, there was no vengeance, he didn't punish anybody, we cannot ask such questions. That was the Rebbe's answer. Meaning to say it's beyond us. So she presses. But why? So the Rebbe says to her, Mashiach will come and things will start making sense. So she very cynically nods, yeah, Mashiach, right? That's the answer to all questions, Mashiach. But she was very bitter about it. She didn't accept the answer. I know a man who sat with them after this meeting with the Rebbe for hours and tried to give them some sense of what the Rebbe was saying to them. They were so hurt and so angry. I mean, what do they want from the Rebbe? But they felt like the Rebbe hurt them. What should the Rebbe have done? How are you supposed to answer such a question? You push, and you don't like the answer. What's the Rebbe supposed to say? And it went no place. It just didn't go any place. There are things we can't understand. So when you say Mashiach, you're not saying that if Mashiach comes, I'll understand this. You say you'll live in a world where things will make more sense. That's a consolation. That's a consolation. And I may sound like a heretic. When I go be Menachem Babu people of tragedy, I don't talk about Mashiach. I talk about tragedy. Questions or comments? Go ahead.
That our suffering comes from pain because we don't understand it, and Mashiach will understand. We will.
No. There won't be pain. Mashiach is a good world. Not a miracle world, a good world.
So it's not about understanding suffering, and that's why.
Not necessarily. No, it's a better world. It's a better world.
It won't be at all.
No, at all is a simplification. Until Tchias HaMesim, there's going to be, people are going to die after Mashiach comes. People are going to be born, people are going to die, but the suffering, the premature dying, and the accidents, Mashiach is going to be a better world. People are going to be better, so the environment is going to be better. So there'll be fewer tragedies.
Fewer?
I don't want to say none. I'm not an expert on the subject, but for sure fewer. Fewer tragedies. In other words, our lives are going to be more consistently good. I want you to understand something, and I've talked about this in previous classes. What were to happen if today everybody's life became perfect? Everybody's life, everybody in this room had exactly what they wanted in all areas. What would happen to us? There's going to be jealousies. She has more and I have less. And the jealousy is going to talk into anger. And the anger is going to turn into violence. And we'll kill each other. The Eibishter gave us such a world. It's called Haflaga. And we blew it up. The day we learn how to be rich and not be jealous and kill each other, we'll be rich and not be jealous and kill each other. Appreciate this. Mashiach has to do with us. If Hashem could make us rich and we're going to remain normal and not cuckoo, He'll make us rich. But most people become rich, become nuts. Appreciate that. In other words, there is no one half. People do not take responsibility. If my life is good, and everything I have, and I still go to shul and daven, and I think Chassidus, and I serve the Eibishter will give it to me. Why doesn't He give it to me? Because it's almost predictable that we fail each time it makes us comfortable. Why? Because we don't take on that four-letter word called avoida. The whole chiddush of Mashiach is shleira instead of our mitzvah. We're going to have what we need, and we're going to work. And it's the work which brings Him, and it's the work that's going to sustain Him. It's all about people. The chiddush of Mashiach is that we're going to get up in the morning and want to do the right thing, even though we could sleep in because we can afford it. It's so profound. It's so profound. It's so deep, it's so meaningful, it's so real. And it's so responsible. Do you understand? Any other questions? Okay, that was a lesson on Mashiach. Good topic.